Week 6 is upon us, so let's take a look at the schedule. Let's have a look at how it plays out for fantasy basketball, how we take advantage of it, what are the pitfalls, what are the traps, and who is Michael Bolton?
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I want you all to join me in wishing a happy birthday to the Bont. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky, joshloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free, and we're available for you to sit there and double bang every day. Yeah, for free. Always do it. Anyway, LockedOnDaily.com, newsletters. Really, not so important. Well, it's important for me, but it's useful for you. It's informative for you. Your favorite team, LockedOnDaily.com. You get all the information in a nice, neat little package every day across at LockedOnDaily.com. Sign up for your favorite team's newsletter. Into week 6. The schedule, this is Thanksgiving week, obviously. So, yeah, get ready to be thankful. And then also we start to head towards the NBA Cup weirdness, which really takes hold in week 8. And again, a pre-warning for those of you in Yahoo leagues. Unless something has changed and they have adjusted the schedule mid-season, you are going to be in for maybe a rude awakening. Maybe you're aware of it, but you're going to be in for a combined week 7, week 8. Meaning teams play 6 games or so. And then your week 8/9 will have 2 games. The NBA has also changed it up a little bit. Last season, there were multiple days with 0 games on. This season, there will not be. There's one day, I believe, with 0 games on across that NBA Cup year. But we'll get to that when we get to it, which isn't now. I just wanted to pre-warn you guys so that when it does come, you're not going to be, hopefully you're not going to be too surprised. Let's look at the schedule, though, for week 6. Because this is like I said, it is Thanksgiving week, so that changes things a little bit. So, interestingly enough, like last week, week 5, for the week that we're currently still in, we didn't have many games played. This week, week 6, where there's a day with 0 games on, we've actually got more total games across the week, even though we're only playing 6 days. So, schedule makers, whatever the reverse is of cooked, that's what you did. 9 games on Monday, 5 games on Tuesday, 14 games on Wednesday. Shout out to Wednesday. Every team apart from Boston and Milwaukee play on Wednesday. Thanksgiving has 0 games on. I think in the past, which I will give credit for, in the past, the day after Thanksgiving, the schedule makers have gone ham as well, and they've played like 13 or 14 games on that day. But this year we don't. We've only got 10 on Friday, 5 on Saturday, 10 on Sunday. So very busy end to the week, but just a very busy week in general because there is that 0 game day in the middle. But, you know, I don't know why we packed so many games into this week when we didn't have games like that last week. Okay, whatever. Who cares? It's not changing, Josh, so don't worry about it. So what do we got? We've got 18 teams that play 4 games this week. 18 teams playing 4 games. That's not what we had last week. I'm not going to get over it. 18 teams play 4 games. Atlanta, Brooklyn, Charlotte, Dallas, Detroit, Indiana, the Clippers, the Lakers, Memphis, Miami, New Orleans, New York, Oklahoma City, Orlando, Portland, Sacramento, Toronto, Utah. If you are watching this on YouTube, you can see it up on the screen in front of you. If not, you can go to basketballmonster.com and check out our schedule grid and schedule analyzer to see how it all plays out for the week, but that's the list up there. There are 10 teams playing 3 games. Boston, Chicago, Cleveland, Denver, Golden State, Houston, Minnesota, Phoenix, San Antonio, and Washington. And then 2 teams with 2 games, Milwaukee and Philadelphia. And honestly, for Philadelphia, this is the perfect time for that, given that we've got injuries to both Paul George and Joel Embiid, although I'm pretty sure this is not going to be the last time that I tell you that Joel Embiid is injured this season. And there is a very, very clear reason why I did not draft him anywhere. And I told you guys that I would not touch him in round 1 at all. And I didn't care that it was pick 8 or pick 9. And you got to take the upside for I didn't want it. I told you why. And I told you why I wouldn't touch Kawhi. And these are very, very, so far, unfortunately, coming true. That's not a good sentence, but yeah, that's where we're at. So, like you can see, you got 28 teams playing 4 or 3 games. And this is where the 2-game teams from a matchup or a weekly perspective, it's worse. Last week, we had the bulk of the teams playing 3 games. So a 2-game team was disadvantaged, but not quite as much. This week, 18 teams play 4 games, so a 2-game week is really quite bad. It really does push those players down the board. And we'll talk about weekly leagues later. But of course, if you're in a daily changes league, games played are important, but not as much. It's not as important as being able to find the guys to add on the right days. Because that's really what we're talking about. You're going to play your studs, and yeah, it's not great if your team is built around Giannis and Lillard, for example, or you've got a Tyrese Maxey and you've got 2 games out of those guys. That's not ideal. But yeah, it's more about when the games happen for these 4 versus 3-game teams that we need to pay more attention to. Let's take a look at how the quality games play out now for the week when we're looking at week 6. It's relatively straightforward. Usually my cutoff is 9 games or fewer constitutes a quality game day. So we've got 3 days that fall under that designation. Monday with 9 games on, Tuesday with 5, Saturday with 5. Wednesday, 0 chance. It's a 14-game day. And the other 2 which could happen are Friday and Sunday with 10 games on each. They might be streaming days. They might not be streaming days. That's going to depend entirely on the makeup of your roster. Again, I use 9 or fewer as a good cutoff. The majority of the time, if there's 9 games on, you will be able to add someone and find an active roster spot. 10, it's probably less often or less than the majority of times you will be able to find an active roster spot. You'll still be able to do it on some days. So pay attention to that and how that looks on your particular roster. And this, of course, goes for leagues that are 10 starters, 3 bench, 10 starters, 4 bench. If your situation is different, if you have no bench, obviously, who cares? You're just starting everyone every day. But if you go like 12-3, or if you go 7-7, all right, the definition of quality games and what days are streamable does change for you guys. So there are a bunch of teams that do have 2 quality games. No one's got 3 this week. No one plays on Monday, Tuesday, Saturday, because Monday or Tuesday's a NBA Cup day and no one goes the back-to-back into that. So the teams that have the 2 quality games, we've got Atlanta, Charlotte, Dallas, Detroit, Utah, Golden State, Phoenix, Washington, and Milwaukee. And that's Milwaukee, 2-game week, both on low volume days. Both on low volume days, which is obviously much better than a 2-game week for Philadelphia. Cleveland, on the other hand, do not play a single quality game. Cleveland do not play on any of those low volume days. The only team during the week that does that. So, I'll just mention the name now, any of these names, Karis LeVert, or maybe you're looking at Milk, or maybe it's the return of Max Strus, which is coming this week, or it's Sam Merrill or somebody like that, where you're looking at, are they useful to grab? Strus and LeVert and Jerome, you probably wouldn't play them. You might. That's going to depend. But Cleveland plays on Tuesday with 5. No, they don't. They don't play Tuesday. My bad. What am I talking about? That's last week's schedule. This week's schedule, Cleveland plays on, if I just find their name, they've got 3 games, and they play on Wednesday with 14 games on, Friday with 10 games, and Sunday with 10. So have a look whether it makes sense for you to have any of those guys. Would you use them Friday, Sunday? And would you rush to pick up a fringe player like LeVert or Strus or Jerome, and then sit them for 0, or play them for 0 games during the week? That doesn't seem like it would be the best use of resources. If we're going to get streamy, which we are, how do we utilize this week in the stream zone to take advantage of this? Well, given that there's only 3 quality games, 3 quality game days, Monday, Tuesday, Saturday, and we don't have anyone playing 3 quality games, this is again a week where using your ads is more beneficial for stashing longer-term speculative sort of moves or single game streams. There's only 3 days. You can't use one player on every day. So you can add someone on Monday. You can get a guy that plays Tuesday and Saturday, which is either Phoenix, Utah, Washington. So the Tuesday-Saturday grouping. Remembering that Wednesday is 14, Thursday is 0, Friday is 10. So you might not stream for 3 days in a row. So you can get a Phoenix, Utah, Washington player that would go Tuesday, Saturday. And then you've got 2 ads left to just take flyers on guys, or to see what happens on your Friday and Sunday, depending on how your individual roster situation shakes out, which of course I don't know. Now, I will get, this is actually a good time to do this. I'll get these questions all the time and go, well, you and this is also another thing. For today's games, which haven't happened yet, my projections were pretty high on Lindy Waters. Yesterday, Friday's games, Lindy Waters was terrible. He did still start, but he was terrible. He had 0 points. Mind you, the 3 games before, I think he had 2 threes in 3 straight games, and he had a 3-steal game and a 1-steal game. Hence why I thought if he plays 24 minutes, there's value there. But it bombed yesterday terribly. And I had him as a really good stream for Saturdays. I think I had him as like one of the best streams of the day available, but it might be terrible again. But there'll be people who, and this might apply to you, it might not, who'll be like, I added Lindy Waters over this guy, whoever it was, Iodasumu or whatever, right? I think that's what someone said to me. The reason I didn't include Iodasumu as a top category league streamer is because the percentage roster cutoff that I use, which for 10 teamers is 65, Dasumu was sitting at like 70%, so I didn't include him on that list, which is where all this stuff is hard. So if I come out and say this guy is the stream of the day here, that doesn't, like, I don't know the individual makeup of your league. I have no way of knowing that. And this is not for me telling you, oh, well, that's why I said Lindy Waters. Like, he was bad yesterday. He might be bad again today. It might turn out to be a terrible pick, and I'll cop that. Like, that could be bad, and that's what happens on game-to-game variance stuff. We try and base it on what has happened in the past, but stuff can come literally out of nowhere and blow us away, and he might be absolutely useless. But it is very important that when I say this guy is a stream or whatever, it's not like I don't know who is available in your league. I literally don't know. So I'm trying to do cutoffs in these situations that covers a lot of things, but be very cautious that you don't just blindly look at that when there might be other players on those lists who are available for you. I can't know that. I can't say, well, in your league, this is this guy, and then for someone else go, well, yeah, we're the double onyx, platinum, diamond, titanium type players. Those guys were gone actually back in 1998 before they were even born. That's hard to do, and I don't know the best way around that. Obviously, basketballmonster.com, where you can import all your leagues, and every day you can see the projections and see who's available and see who's best in your league. That's obviously the best way of doing that, but I can't individualize that for everybody. So while that's not, it's a little bit of a disclaimer. It's more just to alert you guys that when I talk about these individual things, there might be someone who sits there and on my roster number is 80% rostered, according to our Basketball Monster roster number. He might be sitting at 30 on Yahoo, but Yahoo's numbers are all over the shop. There's like 50% inactive leaves. I don't know that. That me not putting them at the top of this list is not because I don't think that they're better. It's because the cutoff that I've used on these shows doesn't put them into that position. I hope that makes sense, and I hope that gives you just a little bit more context around it. We're going to come back and we're going to look at all of the schedule quirks and back-to-backs and weekly league stuff in a sec. But today's episode, it is, of course, brought to you by my friends over at Skims. Who wants to talk about my jocks? Who wants to listen to me talk about underwear? Well, you're here. Because, let's be fair, the vast majority of us wear them. And sometimes we wear ones that are uncomfortable. And as blokes, sometimes we'll get a pair and go, man, these are the best. It's so comfortable. The fit, it's great. The material, it's great. It's not itching us. And then we wear them. We wear them. And we wear them until they disappear, until they die, until there's holes in them, right? We'll do that. Skims, but the 2 pairs that I got, unbelievable. I love it. The materials, there's cotton ones, but there's also that stretchy sort of fabric that you find inside of running shorts. Those ones. There is different lengths. There's different cuts, boxes of briefs. The old high-cut jock. It's all there. Different colors, different cuts, different materials. Basically, whatever you're looking for, these are some of the most comfortable underwear pairs that you will ever find. I'm telling you, like, it's so, like, I love my Skims. I've only got 2 pairs, and I want to get some more because they are the ones that, I'm always searching. It's laundry, it comes out, here we go, let's get these ones on. Because it is comfortable. And, I sit in a chair talking to a camera all day, and having comfort, that's pretty important. It's important for me. I'm hoping it's important for you as well. So shop Skims Men's at skims.com/LockedOnNBA and let them know that we sent you. After you place your order, you select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. And if you're also looking for perfect gifts for the whole family, Skims just launched their biggest holiday shop ever. It's also available at skims.com/LockedOnNBA. Okay, let's get back into the schedule now. Let's take a look at some scheduling quirks. What is weird this week across the NBA in week 6? There's always going to be something that's a little bit strange and things that we pay attention to or need to know that across the weekend in week 6, so Saturday, Sunday, Chicago and Minnesota are off. So when you are looking at an Ayo Dosunmu replacing Patrick Williams, or you're streaming a Jalen Smith maybe, or your deeper leagues and you're chucking your Onyx Diamond level Dalen Terrys out there, then they don't play on the weekend, Chicago. The same with maybe a Nickeil Alexander-Walker stream, or maybe you're holding Dante DiVincenzo and he still does nothing. Weekend off, Chicago, Minnesota. Philadelphia are a 2-game team we talked about already. Doesn't play Monday or Tuesday, so their first game is on Wednesday. So any fringe Sixers guys, Oubre, Martin, Yabusele, probably not going to be worth it. Also gives that extra time for Embiid and Paul George to maybe return, which we just don't know about yet. I say here that there are teams with 3 games straight, and let me be really clear about this. They don't play back-to-back-to-back. But what they do play is, because there is a day with 0 games, on 3 consecutive NBA game days, these teams play. So Tuesday through to Friday. So that means they play Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. It's Chicago, it's the Lakers, Miami, and Minnesota, which for our purposes is 3 days in a row. So if you're adding those guys, obviously on Wednesday with 14 games, the player needs to be good enough to start for you. But Chicago, the Lakers, Miami, and Minnesota play 3 days in a row. If you go Wednesday through to Saturday, which of course incorporates Thursday with a 0, so we're talking Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, which in normal parlance is a 3-game in 4 night, but because there's a 0 game in the middle, you don't have a day where that player sits. You're talking Atlanta, Charlotte, Detroit, play 3 games in a row, Wednesday through Saturday. We've also got a 5-night period where there's a team that plays 1 game, and that's starting on Sunday. Now, obviously, Sunday to Friday, which I've got marked there, is 6 days, but one of them is not a game day, it's Thursday. But the Bucks play 1 game across 5 game nights. 1 game, and that's on Tuesday. So maybe you're trying a Gary Trent, who looks to be sort of back to stream level, or an AJ Green, or God forbid an Andre Jackson, or even a Bobby Portis. You got 1 game in a 5 game night period there, which makes it obviously a little bit harder. Let's take a look at the 3 game in 4 night parts of the schedule. Understanding again that I'm going to talk game nights here, because I think that is more important. Sunday to Wednesday, quite a bit. So if we're ending week 5, heading into week 6, we've got Brooklyn, Dallas, Indiana, the Clippers, Miami, Minnesota, Sacramento, Toronto, and Washington. Monday through to Friday, 5 days, but actually 4 days. Basically, over half of the NBA teams play 3 games between Monday and Friday. The teams that don't, this is different here, I'm saying the teams that don't play 3 games there. Boston, Cleveland, Dallas, Denver, Golden State, Houston, Phoenix, San Antonio, Utah, Washington, Milwaukee, and Philadelphia. They do not play 3 games in 4 nights between Monday and Friday. Everyone else does. Tuesday to Saturday, we've got Atlanta, Charlotte, Chicago, Detroit, the Lakers, Miami, Minnesota, Phoenix, Utah, and Washington. They do play 3 games in 4 nights, Tuesday to Saturday. And then to end the week, Wednesday to Sunday, 4 game nights between Wednesday and Sunday. Every team plays 3 games except for Chicago, Denver, Golden State, Houston, Minnesota, Philadelphia, Phoenix, San Antonio, and Washington. Everyone else plays 3 games between Wednesday and Sunday. Those teams that I just read out do not play 3 games between Wednesday and Sunday. Let's look at there are teams here, and a few of them that play 4 games in 5 game nights. 4 games in 5 game nights. Sunday leading into Friday. We've got Brooklyn, Indiana, the Clippers, Miami, Minnesota, Sacramento, Toronto. So early boosts for those guys. Monday through to Saturday. All the asterisks here means that, of course, that's not actually 5 nights, but it's 5 game nights because Thursday's a 0 day. Monday through to Saturday, Atlanta, Charlotte, Detroit, 4 games, 5 nights. And then Tuesday through to Sunday to end the week, you've got the Lakers, Miami, and Utah. So 4 games, 5 nights for Miami, the Lakers, and Utah to end the week, which again is important. We also have over this time frame. We're condensing things in. We have got 5 games in 7 nights, 7 game nights. So Sunday of week 5 through to Sunday of week 6, you have got 7 teams that play 5 games on only 7 game nights. Brooklyn, Dallas, Indiana, the Clippers, Miami, Sacramento, Toronto. So it's really 5 in 8, but of course one of them, everyone's off. So you don't lose that, hey, this guy's sitting while others are playing. So Brooklyn, Dallas, Indiana, the Clippers, Miami, Sacramento, Toronto, Sunday to Sunday. And if we do Monday to begin week 6 through to Monday to begin week 7, there are 5 teams that have that combination. Atlanta, Brooklyn, the Lakers, Miami, and New Orleans. And you will see Brooklyn's name mentioned in both of those. You will see Miami's name mentioned in both of those. So big, busy runs here for both of those teams, Brooklyn and Miami. If we do 6 games in 8 nights, which again is a 6 in 9 real life, but 6 in 8 actual game nights, which is an incredibly busy schedule, and that's the 2 teams I just mentioned. Sunday of week 5 into Monday of week 7, incorporating all of week 6. It's Brooklyn and Miami. 6 games, 8 game nights. Brooklyn and Miami. Very busy portion of the schedule. Pretty sure Jimmy Butler will be going full tilt for all of that. Let's look at how the back-to-backs shake out. There are quite a few to begin the week, so when we do the streaming show later on for Sunday, consider that the Monday can give you a bonus game if you pick those players. Boston, Brooklyn, Dallas, Indiana, the Clippers, Sacramento, and Toronto play on Sunday and Monday this week. So Boston, obviously, you're going to have an Al Horford rest in one of those games. Brooklyn, you're going to have a Ben Simmons rest in one of those games. Maybe even a Nick Claxton as he comes back from that back problem that he says he's going to have to manage for a while. The Clippers, no one really there we need to look at. Same with Sacramento or same with Toronto. Tuesday to Wednesday is a back-to-back technically. Well, it's not technically, it's literally a back-to-back, but with 14 games on Wednesday, harder to get value there, but these teams all do that. Chicago, Houston, the Lakers, Miami, Minnesota, Phoenix, San Antonio, Utah, and Washington. With nobody playing on Thursday, we can look at the Wednesday, Friday, but that's so many teams, man. It's you're going to be so full up on those days that basically everyone plays on Wednesday, and then you've got 10 more teams playing, 10 more games on Friday, so 20 teams on Friday. It's just a bulk schedule. If you have streaming ability on Friday, there are a few teams that play Tuesday and Friday, which you're going to ignore the streaming value on Wednesday because there's so many teams playing. So Chicago, the Lakers, Miami, and Minnesota play Tuesday and on Friday if you've got that ability to stream through on a Friday. And then the key one that you want to look at, which we talked about in the stream zone earlier today, where we're talking about Tuesday through to Saturday, a 5-game Tuesday into a 5-game Saturday. It's Phoenix, Utah, and Washington. If we talk Friday into Saturday, no Thursday, Friday, obviously no games on Thursday. Friday, Saturday, it's Atlanta, Charlotte, Detroit. And then weekend back-to-back, which I think we had these 2 teams playing a weekend back-to-back 2 weeks ago. Dallas and Utah have that weekend back-to-back. They are the only 2 teams that have that back-to-back there. We're going to come back now and give you some updates on injuries and weekly streaming stuff. But today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Get ready to tackle all that NFL action on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now with FanDuel, you can get $150 if you win your first $5 bet. That all comes in bonus bets. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything that you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So in the middle of the game, you get a hunch, you open up the app, you're ready to place your live bets, and in that same spot, you don't have to dig for the live stats. They're just there. The live play-by-play, it's just there. All on that same page where you place your bets. So go to FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And don't forget to gamble responsibly. Today's episode is also brought to you by the Game Time app. You ready to go watch games now? That's what you want to do. You want to go watch your live favorite sports team. You want to watch a concert. You want to see a comedy show, whatever. Maybe it's a local game for the NHL, or it's the NBA that's happening there. Game Time Picks is the new thing that you have got that's available there to help you sort through the fluff and present you the best ticketing options right on Game Time. The best deals, the best seats, and all the other great things that they've got. cracking as well over at Game Time. You've got things like the lowest price guarantee, the job loss protection, the event cancellation protection, the views from your seat, all of this stuff. And plus, of course, Game Time picks with the curated deals. It is right there for you. Everything that you need to get tickets to your favorite event is there. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create the account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Okay, so we've gone through a lot of those schedule quirks now. Now it's time for us to look at where we sit with some injuries and who may play and who's likely out for the entire week. And we have got some, I guess, somewhat positive updates for some players across here. These are the guys that I'm not expecting to play during the week. Kyle Lowry, not that that really matters, but his absence does mean that some other deeper stuff opens for other players, but doesn't really matter. Also, Jared McCain cooking at the moment. I do think the shooting is going to come down. I do, but I'm actually pretty confident that the minutes will hold. And obviously with Embiid and George and Embiid, rooted. I think rooted, right? Rooted. I would not buy low for him. I would not do anything with him. Like I would not. I wouldn't. But I've had that. I went back to look when I first started talking about this. It was like the 1st of June, I think, or 4th of June, where I had a show on the Sixers in their season recap show, I think it was. And I said, I'm not touching him in the first round. I didn't realize I went that hard on it that early, but I did. There you go. Yeah. So Kyle Lowry. Bojan Bogdanovic, we haven't seen him yet. Cool. Zion Williamson, his hamstrings are a significant problem. And, these reports that he's going to be longer than expected, I'd never know when to expect him. He literally might not play until January. And honestly, I just don't know. He was healthy basically all of last season. And I thought, okay, maybe we're okay here. But 3rd or 4th hamstring injury now to me is that's not touching now. Same injury, same problem, same slow healing in that same injury to me is sort of not as write-offy as the Kawhi Embiid knees, but it's close. Kristaps Porzingis is going to be out, but his return might come week 7, maybe week 8. Chet Holmgren's out. I'm just going to rule Kawhi out because, who knows? He's just nowhere near ready, it doesn't seem, and I don't know when he plays. No idea. Mitchell Robinson will be out. Aaron Gordon, we're expecting to remain out. Jeremy Sohan will be out. He might be back a week or two after that. Vince Williams is out. Zach Edey, I think, will be out. I guess there's an outside chance he returns at the end of the week, but I think he's out. Paolo Banchero is going to be out as well. And then we can look at the guys where there might be returns coming from some of these players. And Kelly Olynyk is one of them. Now, I don't think Olynyk's going to have a huge impact on the guys like Barnes or Pirtle, but I do think he'll have an impact on someone like Ochai Agbaji, who's been getting minutes as the backup 4. I think Agbaji's a drop anyway, but Olynyk will hurt him even further. Lonzo Ball could return. I don't think he's going to do anywhere near enough as he comes back from the knee and then hurts his wrist and been out 3 weeks. This is why we don't want to roster him at this point. Aaron Neesmith could be returning this week, which will have an impact on your values of a Ben Shepherd, probably maybe Mathurin, probably not, but we'll see. Max Strus could return. We talked about the Cavs already. I don't think that he's a must-roster player in 12-team leagues. Chris Middleton, I just don't know. They've only got a 2-game week this week, so I wouldn't feel good about activating him or anything like that. Luka Doncic with his wrist maybe at the end of the week. They said about a week, which will put him towards they got a back-to-back Saturday, Sunday to end the week, as we just talked about, so maybe Luka's able to return there. The Charlotte centers, I'm just going to put them here because I don't know. BDNR, Nick Richards, and Mark Williams, I am unsure whether they return. I would say the start of the week is probably not likely, but maybe it's the weekend, and this just keeps going and going and going. I've got the 3 Pelicans guys here. I'm very certain that CJ McCollum is going to be back. I'm very certain that DeJounte Murray... I think CJ is going to be back for the start of the week. I think DeJounte might be back middle of the week, and Herb Jones might be back the end of the week. But I think they're all coming back. So any of your Alfred Paytons or BJ Boston, who was really good off the bench, I think that's going... adding those 3 guys back is going to kill those guys, I'm pretty sure. Almost certain we get Asar Thompson back in some capacity. What his minutes and role is, I don't know, but I'm pretty certain he's going to be returning. Devin Vassell, I just don't know. Knee soreness, not great. Missed 3 in a row here. Maybe he's back. I'm not sure. Paul George and Joel Embiid. They've only got the 2 games, and the first game's a Wednesday. I would be pretty surprised if they played on Wednesday, to be honest, because you take that one off, and then they get that final game on, I believe it's Saturday is their second game of the week. And that would help them give that a little bit of a boost there. Just the extra bit of rest. I'm pretty sure that they will sit Wednesday, although I don't know. But I think we'll get them back for at least one game. Norman Powell with his hamstring, maybe middle to end of the week. Malik Monk has been already upgraded to questionable, so very certain he'll be back. And Andrew Nembhard could be returning. He also might not be. We don't know about Patrick Williams and his foot injury, so he's uncertain. DeAndre Ayton and his finger bruise, I don't know. He keeps being listed doubtful, so we have to have some doubt about him returning. Scoot Henderson had a thigh injury, then apparently got into a car accident and has a back sprain. So, okay. I don't think you can hold Scoot Henderson in 12-team leagues. Although, again, you could put him in your IL now. Miles Bridges is probably back towards the end of the week with that aggravation of his knee bone bruise. I think there's a chance he misses the entire week, but that gives a little boost to Grant Williams and Moussa Diabate. Cade Cunningham, I don't really have an update on that. Like, they've given us what the injury is called, but no time frame on it. I would say there's a decent chance he misses the week. Ja Morant has been upgraded to doubtful, and the Grizzlies have been doing doubtfuls and then questionable and then return, so I think Ja might be back next week, and that brings us back to that point that I've been belaboring about Scottie Pippen and his long-term value, which I think he's going to be dead pretty soon, but we'll find out. Let's talk about weekly leagues now to finish off the show. So if you're in a league where you can change the lineup once per week, that is what a weekly league is. Let's talk about some guys who might be addable. So we are looking usually for bulk volume in a week like this. Some guys like Grant Williams, who gets a boost because Williams, Richards, and Bridges all might miss the week. That's Mark Williams, might miss the entire week. So Grant Williams has an opportunity, and they've got 4 games. The Kings have 4 games. Malik Monk is likely to return. Has he been good this season? Has it been frustrating? Yes. Same with Kevin Huerter, but 4 games. Kevin Huerter might get 1 good one. He might have 2 good ones. He might have 2 terrible ones. We saw how bad he was yesterday, but there's enough there. Lou Dort and the Thunder. Dort, the last time we saw him on Wednesday, dreadful. Absolutely useless. And then he hasn't played since. But again, it's bulk 4 games. I don't know if Caruso plays. I know Chet won't. But 4 games for a starter who's had some good moments this season, I don't mind it. It could blow up in your face easily. Same with Jaime Jaquez, who's been bad all season. But he's got 4 games this week. Brandon Clark. I don't think Zach Edey plays. Brandon Clark, starter, 19 minutes a day. He can have good field goals, good free throws sometimes. His numbers are so weird. He hasn't barely blocked a shot, but his steal rate is through the roof, Brandon Clark. But as a 4-game starter, there's a little bit there in category leagues. A little bit. It's not exciting or anything like that. And then we look at the 2-2-game teams. Who can we start in a standard sort of format? Giannis, 2 games, obviously. Lillard, I actually think it's sort of borderline, but you probably would start Dame with 2 games. And Maxey and Lillard are around the same spot. Now, if we knew that Embiid and George were out for both games during the week, Maxey becomes much more secure as an ad. But remember, Tyrese Maxey is returning from his own injury, and his minutes have not been high. He played, 20 minutes and 28 minutes in the first 2 games? So maybe he's back playing 37 by week 6, but he might not be. And he had some real shooting woes earlier in the season when George and Embiid were out, so I don't know whether that is a thing for this week. It might be. I don't know. But I would still probably take the risk on Maxey for this upcoming week with 2 games. I wouldn't start like a Jared McCain or anyone in that spot, and I wouldn't start Brook Lopez for Milwaukee. And that is what I feel like was a really big and busy week 6 preview for fantasy basketball. You know what to do. You go ahead and you give it a thumb and you double bang and you give us the love and leave the comments down below. And remember, again, we're here. We're playing a fun game. It's fantasy basketball. Be kind to each other. Be kind to yourself. I'm not even going to tell you to go and do something good because you've already done something good today, yeah? Let's have pride in what we've done and let's celebrate big things. Let's celebrate small things. And by celebrate, you don't have to go crazy on it. Just be like, that was good. I did that. I like that. That food was bloody good. I liked it. All right? Be positive. Keep the vibes up. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.